He's here.
Oh, with he covered himself. Okay.
He's here. Okay. A warm welcome to you. And it's good to see you on the flip side of a TV, of your phone screen, and of course, any device that you are using. This is Newsband. My name is Lydia Odwada. And of course, a Newsband today, we've got yet another interesting conversation loading. Yes, loading, because in a bit, we'll get you to know what we're talking about. And of course, I won't be doing this discussion all by myself. No way. I've got an authority in the area or in the line of our conversation for today. And the theme of our discussion today is the spiritual roots of the current killings in Nigeria and the implications of Goodluck Jonathan's quest for presidency on the APC. Now you see, that sounds interesting. Okay, to do justice to the conversation we've got today, we've got Dr. Wankwatoni Mwezigwe. Doctor is he is an author. He's also an Africanist scholar, a civil rights activist, a political affairs analyst. He specialized in transnational history and international diplomacy, senior research fellow, a professor of church ministry. So you can agree with me that there's so much packed in one that will be handy in a conversation for tonight. So I would like to, at this point, welcome Dr. Tony. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you for this interesting moment to share our ideas together.
That's nice. We're pleased to have you right here with us. And for our viewers, Newsband is on Facebook. Newsband is on Instagram. And of course, you can subscribe to our YouTube channels so that you get first-hand information as we hit you with breaking news. Now we'll head straight over to the conversation for tonight, which is the spiritual implications of the current killings in Nigeria, and of course, the implication of Dr. Goodluck Jonathan's quest for presidency under APC. A quick look at the person of Dr. Goodluck Jonathan. He started in 1999. He was elected the deputy governor of Bayelsa State. He served in that position until 2005, when he was elevated to the governorship as the incumbent was charged with corruption and impeached. In 2007, he was elected to be the vice presidential running mate of the PDP's presidential candidate, Omar Musa Yar'Adua of blessed memories. He and Omar Yar'Adua were elected in April and inaugurated in May. In February 9, 2010, the Nigerian National Assembly insisted Dr. Jonathan assume full power and to serve as acting president until Yar'Adua was able to resume his duties. Jonathan agreed and assumed power later that day. When Yar'Adua returned to Nigeria on February 24, 2010, it was announced that Jonathan would remain as acting president while Musa Yar'Adua continued to recuperate. Yar'Adua was never fully recovered. He died on 5th of May, 2010. Jonathan was sworn in as a president following the death of Musa Yar'Adua. And we know that currently Dr. Goodluck Jonathan is coming in to become the next president of Nigeria on the APC. And Nigerians are saying different things at different times. Some are saying he should come back because he did well in his previous tenure. His administration was fair. And others are saying, no, he should hang the boots. He's done enough already. So, Doctor, what do you think of Dr. Goodluck Jonathan's aspiration as the 2023 presidential candidate?
Thank you. Thank you very much for this incidental question, which incidentally also forms part of the theme of our present discourses. In the first place, well, we have to look at the implication of Jonathan's reinvolvement in politics in connection with the processes or the reasons through which he lost the re-election into a second term. And also, in connection with the present conflicts, present killings in Nigeria. If you look around, you find that there is one unique thing about Nigerians, both the political leadership and the followership, and that is lack of sense of history. When you don't remember your history, you are bound to be condemned by the same history. The Igbo man will tell you, let me speak it in my own dialect. Onye ni maho ebe mmili maba, oma ebe mmili bido kwụsị man. If you don't know where rain started to beat you, you will not even know where the rain starts beating you. That's the Nigerian problem. And Dr. Goodluck Jonathan appears to be a chronic addict of this lack of sense of history. Dr. Goodluck Jonathan should have been aware of the circumstances that led to his losing the election before coming in. In the first place, the present crisis we're having got exacerbated during his tenure, because some people felt that it should not be there. Some people also felt that a Christian should not rule this country. He became naive. I don't care. He became naive in leadership, simply maybe because he did not work for it. Jonathan actually did not work for political leadership. You could see, it was like, yes, he was backed like a baby. From deputy governor, he became governor. From governor, in actual sense, he wasn't even he wasn't even the person who was even detailed to take over as vice president. But somehow, let me say, nature or by divine attention, he became vice president. And by divine intervention, automatically also became what? President. So he never worked for it. And that explains why he does not actually feel the pain of those who supported him are feeling or felt during his tenure. Because if actually he understood what people went through, like for me, I'm in exile because of my support for Jonathan. There are people, prominent people, who cannot talk to them because of their support of Jonathan. Yet, even when the wife was being harassed, some people stood out and they suffered for it. Yet, the same Jonathan was appointed ECOWAS envoy to crisis reading Mali. Why right away in his home, the killings continued without ECOWAS intervention, without international intervention. Then they catapulted him to go and become ECOWAS. The same people are now coming in to tell, oh, you have to be president. I wrote an article about how this killing started. And then from that point, let us even look at the moral sense behind even Jonathan appearing before this government of APC, much more serving them and them trying, being sponsored to become a presidential candidate, order the same people.
A quick question here, Doctor. What could be the reason for him being pressured to become the president of Nigeria? Could it be because he was exceedingly great at it in his previous tenures?
Well, it is spiritual, and that is what we are talking about. And let me retell what the story I told earlier. But before then, permit me time to give you a chronology of the conflict that led to this present aspect, that even proved that our people, especially Christians, are naive, spiritually, morally, and politically. The creation of this Nigeria became with the rejection of the Muslim of Sokoto Caliphate, their rejection of integration with other members. In 1902, when Lord Lugard wrote letter to Sultan Abdul Rahman that they are coming, he told him, "You are a Christian. Between you and me, there's no relationship except war." 1902, Sultan Abdul Rahman. In 1942, WASU, the West African Students Union, were touring Nigeria, campaigning for for a constitutional amendment of 1928 constitution that actually brought about the 1946 retired constitution. When they went to the Sultan of Sokoto, he told them, I'm talking about 1940, he told the members of West African Students Union, WASU, that if you want Nigerian unity, you should become Muslims. Without being Muslims, we don't accept one Nigeria. In 1942, it was repeated. In 1948, Tafawa Balewa, during the Nigerian Legislative Councils, clearly said that those people who were speaking about Nigerian unity were making mistakes, because Nigerian people are never one and can never be one country. 1948, Nigerian Legislative Council. So it continues to the Civil War, to even the present, to even the time Buhari, Obasanjo, Buhari came to power as a coup plotter. He came to power, became head of state. No, let me conclude. And then appointed another Fulani, Idiabon, as his deputy. Nigerians didn't talk. Idiabon was a Fulani, just like Saraki. Today, Saraki is never a Yoruba man, but he's a Gambari. He appointed, nobody talked. And then we continue. Now, Jonathan became vice president because at the time we are telling you, there was clamor for Olusegun's successor. And in the midst of that clamor was Niger Delta militant conflicts. Remember that Obasanjo was a beneficiary, President Obasanjo was a beneficiary of the outcome of June 12, annulment of June 12, presidential election won by MKO Abiola, which led to the formation of OPC, NADECO, and other ones. And in order, at that time, the Southwest was in the verge of secession. Southwest is on the verge of secession. And in order to appease Southwest, Obasanjo was specifically invited, at least, to be there and stabilize the nation and bring the Southwest back to the nation. And they trusted Obasanjo, but in actual, because Obasanjo actually made the Fulani people what they are today, militarily. By the time, let me tell you, by the time Murtala Mohammed died, by the time Murtala Mohammed was assassinated by Dinka, the highest ranking Fulani man in the army was a lieutenant colonel, and that was Yaradua. Highest ranking Fulani man in the Nigerian army was a lieutenant colonel, and that was Musa Yaradua. And when the issue of the next in command to Obasanjo, came up, they discovered that Danjuma, Theophilus Danjuma, was the next in command to Obasanjo, and he is a Christian. And Obasanjo said, look, how can it won't sound well for the unity of this country for a Christian to be head of state and a Christian to be chief of Staff Supreme Headquarters. We better get a Northerner. And they told him that, oh, we don't have a high-ranking Northerner. The only Northerner we have is a lieutenant. I said, get him, we promote him. And let him be there. That was how Yaradua came as a lieutenant colonel. I was promoted first to brigadier. From brigadier to where? To major general. The same thing Aguiyi did. When Aguiyi took power from Nzogu, the highest ranking Fulani man, there was a major. And when the issue of appointing military governors of the 4 regions came up, the issue of appointing a middle belter who were dominant in the army again and Christians came up. And they say, look, the only senior Fulani man in the Nigerian army was a major. Aguero said, let us promote him. And Shehu and Hassan Usman Kasa was promoted to lieutenant colonel and appointed governor. Remember that the same Hassan was a major. The same rank with Nsogu, even junior to Nsogu. He was made a lieutenant. So you find that over time, the South have been empowering the same Fulani in the army. So they saw Obasanjo as their own man and then brought him to stabilize. So when the issue of successor to Obasanjo came, if you look at, if you have watched the trajectory of the campaign, you find that Dr. Odili was actually the main man who should have taken over because he was the most acceptable person there, followed by Donald Duke. And if PDP had actually gone into primaries, any of these two people should have taken it over. But then Obasanjo went back into the reason that even brought him, OPC, Southwest conflict over June 12th, and then looked at what? The Niger Delta conflict, and decided to bring in Jonathan through that process of dousing the conflict. And that was when Jonathan came, the first thing Yaradua did was the settlement of Niger Delta, militants. So that was actually what brought Jonathan to power. Not that he never planned it, just as he never planned to be governor. He never also planned to be vice president. And he never also planned to be president. So his rise to power was circumstantial.
Not attached to his name.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. People say, people are led by their names. Actually, Jonathan is only one man that has been led by his name in his political career, in his ascendancy to political stardom. And for him, they do to use Igbo balance.
Okay. You might also want to translate that to a non-Igbo audience.
Yes. Or somebody's name leads him. Somebody, your name guides you, just as God continued telling Saul to change from Saul to Paul, Abraham to Abraham, and so on and so forth. So there's something in name. And you can see my name, Mwezi, was son of the Most High God. I'm being directed by God in all the actions I'm taking.
Wow, it's really interesting. So let's look at the killings during Jonathan's administration. You would agree with me that it was during Jonathan's administration that the killings heightened. There were bomb blasts at different places. Would you say this was a coincidence or it was a tool to work against him?
Yeah, no. Well, in actual sense, the Boko Haram, the head of Boko Haram started, under President Olusegun Obasanjo. Remember, in 2000, there was issue of Sharia that started from Zamfara that spread. And reason for Sharia, they felt that Obasanjo came and removed, just as today, you see the Nigerian army, they are all dominated by them, by the Fulani and their Muslim cohorts in Nigeria. When Obasanjo came, the army was politicized. So what Obasanjo did was to depoliticize the Nigerian army. By retiring all those who were appointed military governors, because they were politicized, he retired them. And most of those who enjoyed those political appointments were Fulanis. Just as today in Nigeria, Fulanis dominate the whole northern. You will never see an Hausa man in an important position. They are all Fulani. So when Obasanjo retired, all political military officers, the Fulani now discovered that they were no longer in the army. So they went after him. And first thing was for them to now introduce this Sharia. And this Sharia was actually a contentious problem during the promulgation of the 1998 constitution by the military. So they decided to bring it up, using the Zamfara man, to prop it up. And it was a serious riot. There was riot in Kaduna and so on and so forth. And it was from that riot that, in fact, from that riot and Sharia, that even the idea of Boko Haram came up. I remember Boko Haram started in 2003, December 2003, after about, few days after Obasanjo's second term, December 6th, actually in Yobe State. That was when the first action was taken under the name of the Taliban. So Obasanjo was able to manage it with even the riots, even the former emir of Agwandu, Mustafa Jokolo, who was Buhari's ADC then when he was head of state. Mustafa, he was even the person who was agitating for a military action against Obasanjo and the Christians. And that was why Obasanjo removed him, order for his removal as emir of Gwandu. So these were the people who were doing it. So when it started, Obasanjo was able to manage it diplomatically as an experienced army officer. They wanted him, they expected him to handle the Sharia issue with military might, but he managed it, even when people are telling him, do this, but he managed it carefully. And even when they started attacking the middle belters, like the case of Plateau, and they reacted, Obasanjo even went against Darie, declared state of emergency, and suspended him when they retaliated. And it was that Obasanjo's action that even in levying them, that up to today, the middle belters have not recovered. They continue, they continue to be besieged by the same invaders in their midst, with nobody now to help them. Because when Obasanjo was in power as a Christian, he should have helped them. Instead, he came against them in order to appease the Fulani people. And that was one of the reasons why the middle belters were divested of the power and the spirit to confront these Fulani, herdsmen. So we have that problem. So in actual sense, when Jonathan took over, it was now when they now started the main action, because they never, in fact, what is happening in Nigeria today was actually what they planned. I don't want to go into that aspect now, but we know that we have a vacuum of leadership in Nigeria. We have a vacuum, serious vacuum at the national level. Yes, in Nigeria. Yes, but I don't want, it's not this topic here, but let us face it, that the Boko Haram actually came to handle, came in because they planned to frustrate Jonathan. Because the death of Yaradua was unexpected, even when they tried to hide it, as is normally there. Yes.
One of the difficult issues that made it difficult for him to handle the insecurity that heightened during his administration, his non-military background, was it the difficulty that he encountered in handling the insecurity?
No. The difficulty he encountered was his naivety in leadership. You don't need to be a military man in order to handle conflict situation. Because conflict situation, even at your home, if you're able to handle your matrimonial conflict situation, you can handle the village, conflict from the village to your town, from the town even to the federal level. Jonathan generally is weak, malleable, and he's often given out to the appeasement of his potential destroyers. That was the reason. Remember, Jonathan first of all appointed a Christian, Luka, a middle belter from Kaduna, chief of army staff, and he was handling it. The northern Muslims did not like it because they felt that a Christian has no need to cooperate with, with militants. They forced him. Luka, came against him. He removed Luka, and he brought an Igbo man and put him there. Azubike Ihejirika, and under Azubike Ihejirika, the Boko Haram, the insurgency was very well curtailed, to the extent that they even came against him, that he was committing war crime, he was killing people in this country. The same people. And Jonathan was again forced to remove him, and now brought his brother, Minima. chief of army staff. And Minima was not interested in pursuing the policy already adopted, policy of counter-insurgency, strict military operations against Boko Haram. Because actual sense, I passed through that area. And I know that a division, even a brigade, if Nigeria takes a brigade, I passed from Maltam to Medugri, through in Sonkwa, to Medugri, from Cameroon, when I was escaping to the boundary of Chad. I came in there. So these are open areas. If Nigeria takes even a brigade of, a mechanized brigade and goes, Boko, I give you 1 month, Boko Haram will end.
So are you saying
yes.
Boko Haram is in existence and actively creating mayhem because that Nigerian state has not decided to silence the Boko Haram insurgents?
No. You see, Boko Haram, if you look at the trajectory of conflicts in Africa, you find that there's conflict in Burkina Faso. There's conflict in Mali. There's conflict in Central African Republic. There's conflict in Congo DRC. There's conflict in now in Ethiopia, also in Mozambique. So you find that there are Islamic insurgencies. These people, you see, these people are working in tandem with these people. Remember that these same insurgents, let me tell you, because I was trying to tell you, these same insurgents are working with some elements in the army. And are working towards the achievement of again, it is a script. They are just acting a script that have been there. So the Nigerian armed forces, the present leadership are not ready to deal with the Boko Haram insurgency. You can see the small area, they are restricted. You have Cameroonian army there. You have Chadian army. You have Nigerian army. And you are telling me that a division of Nigerian army cannot use the armored car to overrun these places? And you are telling me that if Nigeria can use 30 months to crush a Biafran rebellion, that for 10 years we've been fighting a Boko Haram within a restricted area, and you think there's nothing behind it? It is game, it is contractor. When the peace ends, military contractors, those who are supplying arms, there will be no money there because crisis generates a lot of money. Even governors, even local government chairmen, you know the amount they get from security votes. So when there is peace, it's just like a lawyer praying for peace. That is why if I go to court, it's not everybody that prays that I will say amen. You come to the court, you ask a medical doctor to pray, if I'm to pray against sickness, I will not answer amen. I will just listen to him. Or you call a coffin maker to pray against death. You are asking him he has to go out of business. So when you are asking these people, these army leaders, military leaders, even politicians from the north, to do what? To stop Boko Haram, you are working against interest. One, Boko Haram diverts attention from our national problems, economic problem. Two, it also diverts attention, goes there, diverts attention of possible radical army men who might likely revolt against the democratically elected government. So when you keep the army at peace, there is tendency for them to now focus on socioeconomic problems plaguing the nation. And then the tendency for them to listen to civilians. Oh, unemployment, oh, we are suffering, and so on and so forth. So the present state of crisis serves the interest of the ruling oligarchy. Because when there is conflict, the army, the police, the security men, those people who shall plan coup are seriously engaged. So there will be no need. Wait for them. And if you also look at those people who are being pushed to fight, they're mainly Christians. So those people who are actually, who are in position to challenge the devastating or the deteriorating security situation in Nigeria are being pushed into the war front. Now, how did we get to this point? In 2010, I was in Libya with some Igbo leaders, some Yoruba, some Muslim leaders. I was there with the President Emir of Kano, who was then the Mahdi of Kano Kingdom, Kano Emirate. I was there with the current Emir of Ilorin, and some of these Boko Haram commanders were there with Gaddafi. Gaddafi invited us. Gaddafi actually, if Gaddafi were to be alive, Nigeria should have been divided, because Gaddafi clearly told us that Nigeria was too big to be a single country. He was even trying to recruit me. It was even that they told me that, that Asari Dokubo was trained by Gaddafi. And sponsored him. In fact, I was secretly, they called a black Libyan. I never knew that, Libyans are black until, I record as a historian that there are Babas in North Africa. He called me. They want me to convert to Islam so that I can help and fight this, that they will give me $250,000. They called me and said, I was in Libya. I looked at him. I said, it is not easy for me to take this money because I will not spend the reason I am from a predominantly Christian society. And it will look ridiculous for me to come tomorrow and say, I'm not a Muslim and start spending, that they will even lynch me. That we can still cooperate without my being a Muslim. He said, okay, I'm a sincere person. I'm a sincere person. There were many people fighting in Congo today. Congo DRC were there. A lot of them converted into Islam. And when I came back, I'm not telling you, on the day we already left, I was there with the former Ohanese chairman or President General, Dozie Akedife. He was there with me, with some of my Yoruba, colleagues. It was, in fact, the rebellion in Benghazi that made us to leave that day. The day the rioting and demonstration began in Benghazi. That was when we left. And when I came back, I went to DSS headquarters. I had a friend there, Ikuma Percy from Kaba, Kogi State. Because I knew him when he was Assistant Director Operations. By the time I came, he was already the Director of Finance and Supply. So I came there to tell him, look at what is going to happen in Nigeria.
Okay, you came to tell me you have first-hand information of the happenings in Nigeria.
Yes, when I came back from Libya. He didn't want to see me. What he told me is that, I should write what I wanted to tell him on paper. I laughed at him. You are telling me, a historian who is also vast in security and and strategic matters, to write what I wanted to. I left him. In 2013, I was on, when the crisis, when they started moving weapons, moving weapons through Mali to Nigeria, I was on Channels TV Sunrise, 2013. And I told them, this is the conflict that will be coming up in Nigeria. If you go to Channels, library, library, they will tell you. 2000, I was on Sunrise morning program, and I told them, this is what is going to happen. They played it off, and it started. And when also it started after Jonathan's departure, I wrote to all the churches, all the church leaders. This is what we're expecting. Only Pastor Adeboye replied me and said they are praying for me. And in 2016, when my intelligence told me, look, by 2017, this crisis will escalate, I consulted some leaders and I went to Federal High Court, Asaba, to sue the federal government for trying to Islamize Nigeria by force. And that is the reason why the DSSL went after me, that since 2018, I've been in exile out of Nigeria. But before then, let us look at the spiritual dimension of the present crisis.
That's
Which
before we go to the spiritual dimension of the crisis that plays Nigeria. If you're just joining us online on our social media handles, this is Newsband. And of course, we're having our conversation today on the spiritual implication of current killings in Nigeria and the implication of Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan's quest for presidency under APC. And of course, with us today is Dr. Tony Mwezigwe. Okay, and you were going into the nitty-gritty, but before then,
yes,
as a historian, what can you say about the killings spanning from Jonathan's time up until now? And just a minute, please. What can you say about the killings?
Okay. First of all, during, penultimate, the election of Jonathan, second term, his second term, there were serious crises. There were serious crises of, the northern, the North had decided that never again will a Christian be the president of this country. Even Jonathan. I was very close to the Christian Association of Nigeria under Pastor Ayo Orisha-Jeffo, because Pastor Ayo Orisha-Jeffo was since the inception of Christian Association of Nigeria, he has remained the only potent Christian leader that confronted the oligarchy, the Fulani oligarchy, frontally at the detriment of his personality and even his life. It was, in fact, the Middle Belt Christians that invited him to take over the position, because Cardinal, John Cardinal Onayeko, who was the camp president before them, was pro-caliphate. So the Middle Belt said, no, you are not defending our interests, and invited him then as the president of Pentecostal Association of Nigeria to take over. That was how it became. Now, remember that Jonathan was doing everything to, to curry the favor of the caliphates for his second term, just as Agi Ronsi did, and put the Igbo people, put his Igbo kinsmen in grave danger, because he was engaged on, on a disastrous appeasement of caliphate. And that was what Jonathan did that brought us to this present situation. Jonathan, at the heat of the Boko Haram crisis, he was told to remove this person, remove them. He brought Dasuki as his chief security advisor. Even made another man from, made another Hausa Fulani Minister of Defense. And his principal secretary was also a Fulani, his principal secretary, that is his personal secretary, a Fulani. You're getting it? His Minister of Defense, a Fulani. His chief security advisor, a Fulani. So behind him, he has nothing, no safeguard, nothing, nowhere to fall back. He was floating like a calabash on the fast-moving stream. And it was in the midst of that this oligarchy, Fulani oligarchy and northern elders, including those who were serving him, decided to take a vow that never will a Christian, whether you were in PDP or in APC, you never support a Christian to be president. And they went to Sokoto and had a meeting where they buried a live cow and did rituals that never will a Muslim support, whether you're in PDP or APC, support Jonathan's re-election. And when one of the drivers of the emirs saw it, he went and reported the case to a northern Christian leader, a northern Christian pastor. Look at what is going to happen. And the issue is this. The native doctor that did the charm for them told them that this medicine will take blood. We eat enormous blood. For it to work, they told him, don't worry. That they were aware that Jonathan will reject his his defeat. That once his defeat was announced, his people and all Nigerians were likely to go up in arms. And for that reason, they were going to import fighters from Burkina Faso, from Niger, from Mali to deal with us, to deal with the Christians and Jonathan.
Information that was disseminated by the emir's driver that saw the happening.
Not the emir, a driver. I'm coming. That was what they did. So the driver now went and reported the matter to a northern Christian. The northern Christian quickly went to Ayo Richard-Jefferson, camp president, since Ayo Richard-Jefferson was the nearest person to the president, had direct contact with President Jonathan. Ayo Richard-Jefferson immediately went to Jonathan and said, this is the problem that is coming. Do something about it to save your life and save the life of Nigerian Christians. Jonathan told him, okay, I will take care of it. I will investigate. When Ayo Richard-Jefferson left, Jonathan went and called Dazuki, his chief security advisor, and called his principal secretary, two Fulani people around him. This is what they told me. This is what they told me. Go and investigate. These people were part of the plan. And the same people Jonathan also sent to go and investigate, the same thing they were privy to, the same thing they were planning. And they came back and told Jonathan, you should not listen to Ayo Richard-Jefferson. He was, the man wants to, to frustrate your election. Now, what he said was lie. That he was lying. So Jonathan now called Ayo Richard-Jefferson and said, oh, my president of Christian Association of Nigeria, I've investigated it. And what he told me was a lie. It wasn't false. Ayo Richard-Jefferson was annoyed. He told him, Mr. President, you are finished. I said, you are finished. And walked out. Because people didn't know how far Ayo Richard-Jefferson had walked. And when they now discovered that it was Ayo Richard-Jefferson that informed Jonathan, they said, this man, how did he get it? And they went after him. The first action what they did was to use chief security advisor to bring his private jet and lease it to carry what? To carry money, $93 million in purchase of arms. Is this thing? An article was also a part of it. Because at that time, Atiku, the then president of South Africa was a very close friend to Atiku. Because when they were both presidents, when they were both vice presidents, and both of them even planned to outwit their bosses. The other man tried and removed Thabo Mbeki and became president. Atiku tried to remove Obasanjo, but Obasanjo was too tough for him. So they now used that 93 million, what? To do what? To blackmail Richard-Jefferson. That, he was now given that money by Jonathan for importation of arms. They readily phoned those people to stop it. For us, who are well versed in strategic studies, you know that most small arms by governments are never bought by checks. They're bought by hard currencies. And most of the hard currencies are transported by private jets. And they were also followed by military intelligence. So if actually they were not bent on scandalizing Ayo Richard-Jefferson, they shouldn't have even informed the South African government to search the air. They were the people who invited them to do what? To search.
Much history there with dates and of course names calling. Yes. So
now let me conclude it. Let me conclude. Yes, that was the reason. And then they went ahead, and that was how Jonathan. That was how even, that was I Richard therefore decided to stay quiet up to this moment.
Okay.
Yes, that was her. And what we see when the election came, it was obvious Jonathan was rigged, and they were expecting Jonathan to declare war against the rigged. Jonathan said, look, my ambition, my political ambition is not worth the life of a single Nigerian. And they were frustrated. Those weapons and fighters they brought from Mali and Niger and Burkina Faso could not do anything. That cow they buried also needed blood. And the first blood the cow took was the stampede in where? In Saudi Arabia, where 70 Nigerian, pilgrims died, including the senior brother of Jiga, Professor Jiga, the INEC chairman. His senior brother, who was an appeal court judge, died in the stampede. 70 Nigerians. And thereafter, the issue, let me conclude. Thereafter, the issue of what we do with those militants, those bandits we brought, became a problem. They first took them to start mining gold in Zamfara, at least for them to keep up, to have something to do. From that place, when the government now intervened in the gold mine, they now spread and became the Baptists, the bandits we have today.
But the gold was only discovered a few years ago.
Well, at the time, the gold was not discovered a few years ago. The gold has been there.
Mining was discovered only, the news went out only recently.
No. Mining have been undertaken. Mining have been undergoing privately, secretly. It's because of the bandits, the activities of bandits, that it became revealed. It's part of the treasures the Northerners have. They don't want to put it under the national economic grid. It's there. The gold mine has been there. Copper has been there. It's because of the conflict, because of the involvement of these militants, these bandits killing people, that the issue of the gold mine now came. It has been there from time immemorial, but they did not want to connect it to national economic, network, just as they did oil. So it has been there.
We see a hand up, Elder Tango. We will take your question or your contribution in a moment. But let's quickly take this killing and the spiritual implications, which is also part of our theme of discussion for today. The killings, what are the spiritual implications? Like we always do, we'll take questions from our audience present and of course online. So we'll run through this because of time quickly, and then we'll take questions and contributions from our audience. So the question is, what is the spirituality behind the killings?
Yes, the spirituality, as I stated, is a cult of the cow buried in Caliphate in order to remove Jonathan. And that cow is supposed to go with shedding of blood. And because Jonathan did not give room for shedding of blood after his defeat in the election, when he said that my life is not worth, that my ambition is not worth the life of a single Nigerian. So there was no post-election riot. And those people now brought in to carry the mayhem against the Christians, became the bandits, killing people, kidnapping our people. So it is partly, unless that spirituality involved in that cult of cow that was designated against Jonathan, unless it is spiritually nullified, the killings in Nigeria will continue. And it is part of that nullification that they are now inviting Jonathan to contest. And if Jonathan contests, it will go against him spiritually, because they want to use his life to nullify it, to nullify that ritual, that cow ritual they did. That is why they're inviting him. Otherwise, there's no basis of inviting Jonathan, but because they know that the rituals they carried against him, that it takes somebody the rituals was, was done against to nullify it. Not even the killings, the killings in Nigeria now. Killings in Nigeria can nullify that, unless Jonathan is involved, and he does not know. He does not even know the consequences of his getting involved in politics. because of that action. He cannot say that he was not informed. He was informed. So that is spiritual implication that the present conflict, killings in Nigeria, is spiritual based on that sacrifice. And the Northerners and the Caliphate is aware. And that is why they're inviting Jonathan. And Jonathan tries to go in, he will see the negative consequences.
Okay, so let's take a question in the comment section. That question is coming from Prince Will. Prince Will says, a question for our guest speaker. Is there no relationship between these killings and the climate is there no relationship between these killings and climate change vis-a-vis the drying up in the Sahel area, which has led to herdsmen migrations to feed their flocks?
Yeah, lady, there's no connection there. First of all, if you look at the development of Nigerian politics, you understand? You find that during Shagari regime, revenue allocation was based on landmass. Landmass. Those who are larger landmass were given more revenues. In the First Republic, it was according to your production. The revenue was based. Right away, not all northern areas are dried up. There are still arable lands there. They are still cultivating farms. There's no drought in the north. Let me tell you, I'm speaking from Rwanda. Right away, I'm in exile at Rwanda. And Rwanda, their traditional economy is based on cattle rearing. You don't see cattle. This is a country where they drink milk with water. They rarely drink water. It is milk they drink on the streets. Milk is the cheapest thing you can drink in Rwanda. And yet, you don't see cows outside. You rear your cows. Where? You rear your cows in your home. You develop your local ranch. If your cows are outside, they will prosecute you and prosecute the cow. In Senegal, I've been in Senegal, Dakar. You don't see cows moving out. In fact, cow feeds, cattle feeds, you see them advertising them on TV. So if Nigeria wants, if we're very sincere, if they are sincere, it's not a question of climate change. Because the northern part of Nigeria is still arable. The rain, the rains are falling. So it's not a question of this thing. It's a question of conquest. It's a question of conquest. And this conquest is based on the fact that Nigeria has rich resources. If you are not talking about, let me even tell you, if you are talking about even the Fulani, you find that it's not only Nigeria that they are besieged. In Central African Republic, the problem is there. The problem began when 15% Muslims, led by the Fulani, used military power through the help of Chad to take power. And the local people rose against them under an anti-Balaka. Now, they should have even reached Central African Republic as common boundary with South Sudan. They couldn't move to South Sudan because of what? Because the South Sudanese are warriors. They also have cattle. They're also cattle rearers. If you now go to Burkina Faso, the conflict in Burkina Faso, again, is about the Fulani. You go to Mali, the conflict in Mali is about Fulani. You go to what? Senegal. The president of Senegal today is a Fulani. He maneuvered himself and say also a conflict with, with the Wolof majority there. You also go to where? Gambia. The political conflict there is about Fulani. Adam Aboro taking power under Kurkamin, again, who is a Fulani, against the majority Wolof people. No. You go to Guinea, where they said they are not. The political crisis today that even led to the coup that removed, the last, president was led by Fulani demonstrations in Guinea. In Sierra Leone, the Fulani have succeeded in Sierra Leone, where they don't have a single region of their own out of the 4 regions in Sierra Leone, where you have the Mande and Temne as the majority there. The Fulani produced what? The vice president of Sierra Leone today. Now, I've passed through Adamawa province, northern province with Ngandere, of the 10 provinces, in Cameroon, only one I've never visited, and that was southern province. All others, and I tell you, the conflict now, even in Ambazonian zone, you also see Fulanis coming there to attack them. They call them Bororo there. And where are these Fulani? The Fulani you are talking about are not even Muslims. The Bororo Fulani, Katurera, are not Muslims. They are what? They are traditionalists. You never see a Bororo Muslim, check it throughout Nigeria, going to the mosque. They are all native doctors. The people ruling Nigeria today as Fulani are not even Fulani, but they're using the Fulani. They are called, yes, they are Tolonkowa. If you look at the complexion of all the emirs of Nigeria, none of them is fair like Fulani people. None of them looks like the Bororo Fulani. They look like ordinary people. They are what the Hausa called Tolonkowa. They only adopted Fulani language. They migrated, from Guinea. So the Fulanis occupy Futajalon in Guinea and Futajalon in Senegal. But this present class of emirs are not real Fulani. But they just adopted it and then became teachers of Islam, and then began to use the Fulani Bororo people, who are warlike because of their cattle rearing culture, to attack, to tell you they are spreading Islam. Whereas those people spreading Islam are not Muslims. Let somebody come and challenge me. Let somebody come and prove me wrong. Where the mosque could have ever seen a Bororo Fulani going there to pray, all those cattle rearers.
Thank you very much, Dr. Elder Tango Ugochukwu, please, if you're here, unmute yourself and ask your questions or make a contribution. Elder Tango, are you here? Okay, he's here. Elder, please unmute yourself. I'll ask you now to unmute yourself, so you quickly do that and make your contribution or ask your question.
Yeah, okay, now I'm on mute. It was a fault before, not my fault. I was trying to unmute myself.
Right.
Dr. Weziwe,
yes.
My question will be based on your comments, mostly about Orisha Jeffo.
Yes.
Because for him being an insider and he knows too much about the Jonathan regime.
Yes.
What purpose was it that is private jets? Is it a commercial private jet or for private use?
Okay. Yeah, the jet actually was bought by his church members for him, because they felt that other major pastors have got a jet, he should also have it. And because to him, he didn't need the jet. He doesn't need, he never needed the jet. He said there was nowhere keeping a jet. Instead, they should put it on commercial lease. So it was on commercial lease. And based on commercial, yes.
On whose name?
Oh, that is his aircraft. This is his aircraft on commercial lease. So
and he knows the purpose of the journey.
No, you don't know. You see, you're a businessman from Anambra State. If you have a trailer, a fleet of buses and trailers, and you place your driver, you are at the comfort, you are at your home. Do you now check if your driver goes and take business or take oil or take luggage for a, is it your business? Your business is just for returns. How will he know? He was not running the aircraft. He was not running the aircraft. And that was why, you see, the business, the essence was to blackmail him. And they did. Because he took the chief of, he took Dasuki 2 weeks to retract the accusation. Throughout the time, remember, throughout the time they were accusing Orisha Jeffo, even the Roman Catholic Church that even held their conference there in Warri, on that day, they even concluded that Orisha Jeffo, actually used his aircraft to import those arms. How do you think that Jonathan should have awarded Orisha Jeffo contract to buy arms when he had chief, he had chief of defense, he had chief of defense staff, he had a minister of defense, he also had a chief security advisor who is in charge. It is even the chief security advisor with the chief of defense staff. Small arms purchase actually carried out by chief security advisor. The arms that maybe police use, DSSS use, and other ones is actually imported. The contract is actually awarded by the chief security advisor. And you think that should have awarded some contract to Richard Jeffo.
Okay. How Richard Jeffo came out of the trouble? How was the issue settled?
There was no issue. It was propaganda. Jonathan came. Jonathan called him and apologized and told him he will caution them. Jonathan came and apologized. And then they now made a retraction. They now made a retraction that actually they only leased his aircraft, that he was not involved in the contract. He was not involved, that the aircraft was on commercial line. Jonathan apologized to him. And remember, he remained camp president even up to the first term of President Buhari. But he said, because of it, he will not say anything again about Nigerian politics.
But there's a news that he was warned that for his safety, that he will never mention or participate in anything government. And
no, nobody warned him. Nobody warned him. Am I aware that some Nigerian governors had gone to him? Some Nigerian governors had gone to him to tell him to talk on the deteriorating security situation against Christians of this country. I said he will not talk. Watch. If you watch it, you find that the Catholic Church were against him. Labour, Onayeko, even Labour, Kuka, they were against him. Using Akume, George Akume, former governor of Benue State, they were also, appeasing him. Even Erufai was appeasing him. Simply because he was defending the interests of the Christians. And people did not. Where are these people now? Are they talking? And they want him to talk? He will not talk.
Okay. Then the last question, not the least. Coming to Jonathan.
Yes.
Goodluck Jonathan. So with your account now, Jonathan was just a puppet, seeing the downfall, and he did nothing. Because Dasuki in question was the person who arrested Buhari during Babangida's coup, that toppled Buhari.
Yes.
How come about what brought again their renewed friendship, and later the friendship backfired?
It was not a friendship. It was not a friendship. It was a caliphate agenda. And when the caliphate, even what's his name? Saraki, Bola Saraki. What's his name? I think what's his name? Is it Bola? Saraki. What's his first name?
Olushola Saraki.
No, his father was Olushola Saraki, the present one.
The Saraki, what is his name? I would remember.
Yes, the Saraki. Yes, the Saraki was there because he also wanted
Bukola
Saraki. Yes, he also wanted to be president, and that was why they told them to break PDP, and they now formed, new PDP, and later joined APC. He joined APC. You understand? When he protested, they told him he should mind himself, not because his name is, Yoruba, that he's first and foremost a Fulani man. And in fact, the plan was that Atiku should take over from Buhari after first term. The plan, the decision, and that was even Atiku kidding. Remember, the chairman on the election day, the national chairman of PDP, who was the former governor of Bauchi State, on the election, 2 days ago, he refused to release money to Southeast, Enugu State in particular, where I was. Enugu State, up till the night of the election, he refused to release money because he was ordered to withdraw all the money that Jonathan needed to win the election. He withdrew it until the government of Enugu State had to mobilize. And that was why votes did not come in the Southeast. Those areas, they now discovered that Jonathan should have won, to cover up their rigging style. They made sure they starved them of the required resources. So, and after the first term, they now said, oh, Atiku will not, take it. And that was why Atiku got annoyed and left them and came to and contested and came to PDP. They also know their secrets. And their secret is still there. Because tomorrow, don't be surprised that the Supreme Court will announce Atiku as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Because there's a case pending in Supreme Court today over the presidential election being instituted by Atiku. It's still there. People don't know. Tomorrow, they have the Chief Justice, the Chief Judge of the Federation. They have it. They have the INEC. They have the police. They have the army. They have the everything that has to do with security, everything that has to do with the election. They have it. So tomorrow they can give order.
So Jonathan coming back is a mistake, yeah?
That's what we're saying. If he tries, it will go against him spiritually. Because what is going around in Nigeria today, the killings are the result, of the cult of ritual cow that was performed in order to push him out of office. And that is the blood of Nigerians that are being wasted today.
Okay. Moderator.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now let's take the next question in the comment section. This question is coming from Igwe Dr. Emeka Iluono. He says, who brought in the bandits and from where that is? What is their nationality? The second question is it still possible to send them away from Nigeria? So the question is, who brought them in and is it possible for them to be sent out of Nigeria?
First, they were brought in by the caliphate in preparation for post-election conflict. Post-election conflict after Jonathan had been removed from office, rigged out of office. They expected that Jonathan will challenge his re-election, and they were surprised that even before the final result was announced, Jonathan accepted defeat. These people were brought in from Niger, from Mali, from Burkina Faso, and from Senegal. In fact, even from Cameroon, because when you go to Adamawa, when I pass through Banyon, Gandere, and those areas, banking, these are areas that bound Nigeria. When I was escaping, I passed through those areas. You find that there's no demarcation boundary between Adamawa province of Cameroon and Adamawa state of Nigeria. You see them, and for those people, they even regard the emir of the emir of Adamawa as their king. That's so. These people came there. These are even the people. They carry the operation. Most of these Fulani bandits, who operate in the middle belt, they come from that side. They operate and they leave. Then those who are operating in Zamfara up to Niger State, Zamfara, Kaduna, Sokoto, they were actually from Burkina Faso, from Niger, from Senegal, from Guinea. They actually came from there for the issue, for the expected post-election violence. And after the election, there was no violence, there was no opposition, there was no rioting against the defeat of Jonathan. The problem now became, what do we do with these people? What do we do with the arms in their hands? And they have to sustain themselves. They started with the gold mine, which were being done secretly. It was when the crisis of the gold mine came up that people in Nigeria knew that, there was large gold deposit in Zamfara State. But they've been mining it long ago. Until the need to, the need, to actually cool down, pay back, these bandits came up.
So
and
is it possible
yes.
away Nigeria?
Yes, the issue is now that these people cannot move away. Some of them are being conscripted into the army. They cannot move away. They become part of Nigeria. Nigeria is where, look, now, even now, these people, some of them are registered as voters. They have contact. Remember that Sheikh Gumi was meeting them, interacting with them. He must be interacting with them. And he told the government, you have to negotiate with bandits. The question now, negotiate with who? You see, I don't understand. Because of this, I don't understand Nigerian case. It reminds me of the biblical episode when God wanted to destroy the world and then call Noah. And while Noah was preparing his ark, people were marrying, playing, doing everything. Nigeria is burning and people are dying. Today, nobody's even talking about those people kidnapped during the railway bombing between Abuja and Kaduna. Over 20-something are still in the bandits' heaven now. Nobody's talking about them. These are the people with families. These are the people with, these are people with relations, with wives. Even those who died. Nobody's talking about them. Business is moving as usual. Politicians are talking. They are still there. And the same government is telling us that nobody should pay ransom to the same bandits. And they're not making any move to release them. Every time they continue killing Nigerians, no record, nothing. Now, even in Rwanda, where I am now, where there was genocide in 1994, if you go to every ministry, every public institution, even in their village headquarters, you see the list of the names of victims of that genocide as a reminder for those people who are living. You go to genocide memorial, you see all their names put there, close to 1 million. As a reminder, today they're killing Nigerians every day. Where are the records? You don't even have a functional identity card. You don't even have a functional voter's card. You don't even have a functional census.
Okay, now we see Ambassador Simon Owa. He has his hands up. If you are here, please unmute yourself and make your submission or ask your question.
Thank you so much, moderator. And thank you, Dr. Nwazigwe, for your very incisive comments. What I want to ask is, I need clarification on the comment you made, that if Dr. Jonathan ventures into the presidential race, he is likely to have a negative feedback, negative implication for him. And I linking that closely to the spiritual dimension of the killings. Are we saying that the only thing that ritual requires is Jonathan's blood, without which the ritual cannot be undone, or there cannot be an atonement?
Well, I don't really know. When you talk of negative impact, you can't decide because you don't know what the spiritual forces, the action they will take. But all I know is that the recent killings being exacerbated beyond control, beyond even control, because you can imagine Abuja and Kaduna, they are at the center of Nigeria, at the core center of Nigeria. And then bandits came, attacked a train, killed many people, kidnapped people. We are not talking of Borno, we are not talking of Boko Haram, that people can now flee to Cameroon or to Chad. You are talking about the center of Nigeria, Abuja and Kaduna, and the bandits are there. And Kaduna, part of the northern domination was to carry all the military headquarters into that area. And Kaduna is the center of military equipment, military personnel, and other things. And yet, these people kidnapped, bombed our train, and they're still, for over 2 weeks now, they're still holding our people hostage within the same area. In the same Kaduna, bandits enter Defense Academy, abducted soldiers, and killed an officer. We are sleeping. The politicians are sharing money. We are talking of election. None of the presidential candidates has even been bold enough to say, if I become president tomorrow, my action will be how to deal with the bandits, because they're even afraid. They're even afraid. Normally in advanced and the real democratic society, country, election campaigns, electionary campaigns should be predicated on extant problems of that country. Nobody's talking about it. They're talking about it's Igbo man's turn, it's Yoruba's man's turn. They're talking about turning. They're not talking about who can solve this problem. Because you see, the issue is very, very clear. Even our leaders, our Christian leaders, from Adobo, Oyedebo, all of them, they are all indolent spiritually. It is to buy aeroplane, buy jet, buy this, preach, collectors. Nobody, even the so-called people, the so-called people giving us prophecy, commercial prophecy. None of them are even predicted, giving us prophecy on how to solve this incessant killings. And people continue patronizing them. The height of spiritual bankruptcy in Nigeria is untenable in any society in modern world. So Jonathan is aware that there was a ritual made in his name, and that ritual required blood, human blood, as an appeasement, and that his refusal to oppose his defeat in the election, which have orchestrated massive killing of Christians, made that ritualization, fulfillment of that, those rituals impossible. And for that reason, Nigerians have continued to pay for it. Christians have been finished in the north. They've now moved against Muslims in the north, the same bandits. Because when you send a lion to attack your neighbor, when he finishes your neighbor, and the lion cannot do without flesh, he will turn against you. That is what you are watching. So Jonathan, if he goes in, it's not a question of prophecy. Spirituality is a gift. It's not through owning a church. Some of us are more spiritual than those who manage mega churches. But if he goes in that is contesting, he will receive negative consequences.
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor. Let's take this contribution from Comrade J. He says, Fulanese has never hidden their evil plot of taking over the whole area called Tag Nigeria. Wonder why people continue to act as if they are deaf, dumb, and blind to the realities of the existential threat from Fulanese. Okay, and this one is Igwe. Your question shows you're either not sincere to yourself or far removed from reality of so-called Nigeria. It wasn't meant as insult, but it's outrageous for any non-Fulani to still be acting ignorant of the horrors being unleashed by Fulanese. Okay, we'll take some more questions if there are any contributions before we call it a wrap on the session for today. Any further questions, please?
Okay. Yeah. Well, the point is that we are talking about the spirituality again. As I said earlier, the Buroro Fulani people, cattle rearers, have never been Muslims. And they are not Muslim. You can't see them in any mosque. They are ritualists. And we've seen pictures, we've seen videos where they were having sexual intercourse with these cows as part of their rituals. And you continue buying the cow, you continue eating it. You continue eating the cow. You know what it means? So the rituals that go with the cow, because if you look at their life, if you look at their worldview, like if you're looking at the worldview of the Igbo, you can look at it round the Indiche, the Ofo and the Kenga. If you look at the Yoruba worldview, you could look at it from Oduduwa, Shango, Olodumare, and other ones. Everybody has his own worldview. And if you look at the worldview of the Fulani Bororo, find that it revolves around the cow. Every circle of their lives, every ritual surrounding their existence revolves around the cow. So when you eat that cow, when you eat their meat, your spirit of resistance, your cogitative power, your power of reasoning becomes dampened. It's just a man who meets a young virgin. When a man meets a woman, your sense of commission, your sense of will, everything disappears. Anything the girl tells you, you'll be doing it. So that is the sense. That is the case. And when they have sex with those cows and eat it, they are putting you in a situation. Once you eat the cow, you are like a man, who is before a woman for sex. You are weak. That is the weakest point of a man. So when they have sex with the cow and she eat the cow, you are at their control. Just as a man is under the control of a woman under sexual intercourse situation. So it's spiritual. But how can you avoid eating it? That is the problem.
Unfortunately.
Now let me tell you, before, at a point in 1980s and 1990s, people were not going for the cow because of stockfish. The Igbo people who are most ravenous consumers of meat and fish in Nigeria, we're not going for the cow. And the cow was losing, was losing markets. They were going for stockfish because you don't compare stockfish, the flavor of stockfish to the cow. People like us don't eat it because of collateral. You understand? They knew that with stockfish, the cow market cannot go. They ban stockfish. And I bet you, if you have a regime that brings out stockfish back, that is alternative. If you now say, don't eat cow tomorrow, people will stop it. So
okay,
that was one strategy they used.
The question is there a scientific basis for this claim?
Which claim?
The claim of the cow, when after it's been used for some rituals eaten by humans, it dampens your sense of reasoning.
It's talking about what? Scientific or what?
The scientific claim of
I am not a scientist. I'm a historian by training. So I don't act in covering laws. I don't act with covering laws. And when you are talking of spirituality, I'm also a spiritual ministry expert, both in church and in traditional way. Maybe when you are trying, if you're not talking about definition in Igbo, Alpha definition or Ifa definition in a Yoruba worldview. When you talk about Otose and then OTD and all those, you now ask a scientist to do it. Maybe you may likely ask Christ to prove the science of his miracles in the Bible.
Okay, just before we drift to some religious arguments, we see that there are no more questions. I'm not seeing the hands up, so we understand that their questions are exhausted and contributions exhausted as well. And if that is the case, I'd like to say thank you very much to everyone who came by for this conversation today and contributed via the comment section and even asked questions. I'd also like to thank Dr. especially for your time here and in-depth knowledge on what is history. And I would say that indeed it was an interesting time with you. And I would also say thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you being here. And of course,
thank you very much. And I thank the viewers for their patience for today. I will meet another day. Thank you very much.
Oh, for sure. Thank you very much. Everyone from Newsband will say thank you very much. And of course, we do have our social media handles on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. You can subscribe to our channel, our YouTube channel. We'll have lots of information there for you. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook. And with that, Lydia says, have yourselves a pleasant night rest. Bye.
Yeah. You say Lombarda? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Everybody.
I've listened to your lecture. So I mean, thank you very much for honoring us with your presence.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
In the meantime, we are rooting for Peter Obi to become the president.
Well, I'm not interested